Film Buffering.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Film Buffering. I'm one of your hosts, Colter Harkins, and today we have Alex Tate, Todd Foley, and Andrew Johnson. It's the full crew! Woo! Today we're going to be reviewing a fun one. It is Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar.
Shadows falling, baby, we stand alone. Out on the street, anybody we come back home. And we got nothing to be guilty of. I know, so many mountains near or far we are. And we never let them away.
Hey, Barb.
Yes, Star.
You know what I just love?
What?
Movie trailers.
Me too.
I like how they're little movies about another movie before a different movie.
Sometimes I find myself watching a trailer for a movie while I'm watching a totally different movie.
Me too. Barb, what if we had a movie?
What? Then we'd have to have a trailer.
Oh, yes, listen, I wouldn't want to give anything away, though, about the movie.
Me neither, especially our faces.
Gosh, I can almost see our trailer now.
We took a holiday. Took some time to celebrate. Just one day out of life. That's one day. It would be so nice.
Oh, my star.
All right, Andrew, tell us about this movie. What the heck is going on here? Who's in it? What's going on?
It's a real romper. And the plot is lifelong friends Barb and Star embark on the adventure of a lifetime when they decide to leave their small Midwestern town for the first time ever. Directed by Josh Greenbaum, written by Annie Mumolo and Kristen Wiig, who also star, and also starring Jamie Dornan and a whole cast of fun people that show out throughout the movie. Damon Wayans and Fortune Feimster and Vanessa Bayer and a whole bunch of fun folks.
Morgan
Damon Wayans
Freeman.
Jr., for the record.
What does it always mean, this Junior?
That's his name. Henry Jones Jr.
Not senior.
Not senior.
He is not in it.
We're settling for the junior on this
It was a cheaper option.
one. But there is a better option. All right. How did you feel about this movie, guys? And I'm going to start with Todd. Tell us what you think about this movie.
And it was an interesting one. It kind of brought it had like a vibe of a comedy that they don't really make anymore. I feel like this kind of has some 90s vibes to it for sure, like a lot of the SNL stuff, which makes sense because Kristen Wiig's in it. It was strange. There were parts I laughed. I don't think the flow of the movie went very well. I liked the characters and I liked the idea, but it was bizarre and disjointed, but funny at times. I'll start with that.
That's an honest assessment. Andrew, what did you think about this movie?
I actually really liked it a lot. Like Todd said, it did remind me of comedies that you just don't really see anymore. I don't know, it just was like fun and over the top because just like, what the heck, why not? And I feel like for a while now, comedies have just gotten more serious, like trying to be dramatic. But this one, like, it totally was what I thought it was going to be.
but they are who we thought they were.
I do agree that it did drag. It could have been shorter, but I feel like I just say that about movies in general. Yeah, it was fun. I actually laughed, so good time.
It's a good assessment. Alex, what are your thoughts about this movie?
I liked it a lot. It started out super strong with that kid like riding his bike, lip syncing that song, and then like going into the secret lair, and Kristen Wiig as the villain was freaking hilarious. I really liked it. I mean, like SNL and like other comedy, like it kind of felt like a sketch comedy, and kind of they did so many different jokes that, of course, some of them aren't gonna land. Like I didn't think some things were funny, but I found myself laughing a lot. But then, probably people with different sense of humor were probably laughing at the parts that I didn't. So like, I feel like when you have so many jokes, you get all those, different audiences. And I thought overall it was freaking funny. Like I laughed a lot. The two like musical numbers, I was like, what am I watching right now? But I loved it.
Man, now I'm flicking my tiptoes to kick up the sand, 'cause I can't understand all this fire that's raging inside me. Seagulls in the sand, can you hear my prayer?
Because they started the very beginning of the movie, you're like, okay, this is what I'm getting into. And so you expected it the whole time. Whereas like some comedies that we've talked about, you didn't really know what you were getting until they like threw in weird things at the end, in the third act, in Tomorrow War.
Shut up about Tomorrow War. You loved it.
Let it go, let it go.
But yeah, overall, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And Kristen Wiig, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the other lady's name.
Annie Mumolo.
Were really funny, and the dude was funny. Just overall, real good time.
Yeah, let's say going off of that, I think that this was a movie that fully did what it set out to be and what it said it was going to be. They set a tone, they hit it for the whole movie. Just really great comedic bits, very much an homage to the early 90s, like Lorne Michaels style, like Three Amigos.
I'm Lucky Day. I'm Ned Niederlander. I'm Dusty Bottoms. So together we're the Three Amigos.
The two ladies that wrote the movie, Kristen Wiig and other lady that we keep forgetting. I'm sorry, but
Annie Mumolo.
Annie Mumolo.
Andrew, that's
so
your job
good.
the rest of
Oh
the episode.
my gosh, so good. Their timing together, everything that they did, the chemistry and the timing was so freaking flawless between the two of them. They set the tone, and it honestly, I felt like it was just a display of Kristen Wiig's comedic prowess as a supporting actress. It could have been easily this is Kristen Wiig and this lady that you don't know about, but
Andrew
Annie Mumolo.
But Annie Mumolo was so well set up in what she did with her that they really just kept it so consistent. It felt like a level playing field the whole time for someone that has been so prevalent in our comedic mind, and somebody that we've never heard of, but that never felt like she was the supporting actress. It felt like Kristen Wiig set up.
Yeah, Annie Mumolo really held her own.
Really did her own thing. It was so good. The way that was it. That was what made this movie work, was that it was a buddy comedy. Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
Thanks, Mr. Narwhal.
In the best sense of it. Where it was two people playing off of each other to their strengths and just continuing through the whole thing.
Yeah, I think outside of that, like, what I really enjoyed here is outside of like, kind of like you were saying, like with Kristen Wiig, how she's been in movies where, you just rely on her talent alone. One thing that this movie really allowed for was other just like minor characters to come in and get a laugh and stuff like that, like the piano player doing the wacky songs, or like
oh man,
even I thought what is his name, Jamie Dornan, or whatever.
Yeah, Jamie Dornan was
He
great.
was good, and like Damon Wayans Jr. comes in, and I loved his character. It was such a short part, but he nailed it, and just like I was so happy to finally see a movie where like all these other little bit players come in and all really connect and like totally kind of get the energy and the idea of the movie as a whole. So it all kind of came together. I was just really stoked on that.
It added into what was going on, as opposed to, oh, we're going to take a moment to feature this other person that's doing something else. But they all added into the overall feel of the movie and what was going on, without just pausing the movie, as they say.
The only time I didn't really feel that way was like the caricature painter lady. I didn't really. That didn't land with me.
Right. That didn't land.
Wow, really got it out for that lady.
Well, really, I only had a couple problems with the movie, and that was one of them. So I thought I'd mention it.
You know, she's no Annie Mumolo. You know, what are you gonna do?
You gotta say my name 3 times.
What's your name?
Annie Mumolo. Annie Mumolo. Annie Mumolo.
True. I really enjoyed the guy that Kristen Wiig kind of fell in love with. I thought he did a great performance as well. What was his name?
Jamie Dornan.
Jamie Dornan.
Amy Mumolo.
Yeah, I thought he was really funny, and he worked with the ladies really well as well.
Because he's basically just like a romantic lead, isn't he? He's like 50 Shades of Grey guy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he's the abs, man.
I think the scene where they all three wake up on top of each other and they're all like looking at each other.
The eyes, yeah, just like
God.
the eyes.
Pick an eye, babe. I can't concentrate on what I'm saying if you keep. Yeah, pick one. Pick one.
Todd, give us some feedback, bro. We need you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me in on this finally, guys. Yeah, I mean, I agree. There were a lot of great bits. I think when the movie first started, I mean, obviously, yeah, there was the kid with the tree and the secret lair and stuff, but I thought there was going to be a lot more like kind of dry humor with like the Midwest ladies, just kind of like, you know,
yeah.
And I more like a maybe Mike Judgy kind of King of the Hill vibe to it, and I think I got excited because I love that stuff, and then it really turned hardcore like absurdist, which is great too, like the talking crab, and probably my hardest laugh of like the whole movie because it was so unexpected is when she jumps that moped.
Oh yeah,
just
versus
the
Grand
blue.
Canyon.
I mean, yeah, like you're saying, I mean, the obvious comparison is Austin Powers because Kristen Wiig plays both one of the leads and the villain. You know, like the piano player, I thought that part wasn't funny. Like, I just thought that it was kind of ridiculous. I was like, wow, they're just trying for the.
You're not a Cheese fan? Come on.
Not really. And then. But I mean, all that stuff. What else? I do love that the shrimp queen gets shot out of a cannon. I just love that idea. And that's what they. And then this poor girl with the horrible skin disorder just accidentally got mistaken for the shrimp queen and blasted onto a cruise ship. That is also just a hilarious idea to me, but it's just like, you know, what on earth am I watching? Yeah, same thing. But yeah, I mean, they made the movie that they clear. I mean, there wasn't any flaws with it. I think it just wasn't my cup of tea. But it was very well executed. And yes, I will agree, Damon Wayans was hilarious.
He killed it. I think, it totally, and this is why I recommended it, because I knew it was going to be because I like love absurd stuff. I love comedy skits that just you're like, what is happening or whatever. So this in that way, it's like totally delivered for me. And I think it, like I kind of alluded to earlier, just like comedies for a while seem to have gotten like so serious. They're like a drama first, but then you're like, haha, it's funny because it's uncomfortable. That I was just like, oh yay, just something wacky that you can just kind of not really have to think about and just like, you know, just let it be wacky.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Hi, I'm Al Harrington, president and CEO of Al Harrington's Wacky Waving Inflatable Arm Flailing Tube Man Emporium and Warehouse. Thanks to a shipping error, I am now currently overstocked on Wacky Waving Inflatable Arm Flailing Tube Men, and I am passing the savings on to you!
I love the guy at the beginning, the scientist who helped create the mosquitoes too.
Yeah.
I thought that guy was a very good. I wish he had survived the movie a little longer, because he was also just great in this part where he
did. Yeah.
They were using the mosquitoes to euthanize rabbit herds of animals in Africa.
How he delivered that one line. The rabid animals that we talked about. Oh man. This movie actually, so I typically don't, well, I don't want to say I don't pay any attention, but the overall aesthetic of it really seemed very consistent when they were in Florida. Like everything, like the sets, the clothing, even like all the extras and everything, it just was like really well done, and very just consistent. And that's, I don't know why, but that's something that I was like, oh, this movie wasn't like huge and popular, so maybe they kind of cheaped out on that, but like the costumes and the sets and everything were just seemed really, really good. Everything was consistent as far as the absurdism, and also like if you establish like a heightened kind of reality, which is what they're doing in this movie, they established like heightened versions of people, so it's not just realism or whatever, but every character that came in and bit character was perfectly on that level. I think that's the thing that I was like,
yeah,
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
This is the tone. This is what we're doing. We're going to just keep building off of it and make it bigger, but it doesn't ever feel absurd because the whole time it is absurd. So it feels like, oh yeah, that's the natural next progression for something when you just set that tone and stay the same tone throughout. The back and forth between the two lead actresses, everything else was just all in that line so well.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like a Wes Anderson type movie where the characters like are heightened, they're not way over the top, but they're not natural either. And then they have those little like, Wes Anderson had those little like claymation parts or the little toys that move or whatever. And it was kind of like that where he was like the crab and the kid that was in the submarine pressing all the random buttons and making like cow noise, or the part where she's like, make sure you move the steering wheel just a little bit right to left. Just little things like that. I just really appreciated it. And Kristen Wiig is obviously very talented and hilarious in her writing ability. Like I think she wrote Bridesmaids as well, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Both of them did.
I think she was a co-writer on it, but yeah.
Yeah, freaking hilarious in that. I think this movie is as funny as Bridesmaids, and I love Bridesmaids.
And so I would just like to say to you and to everyone here, gracias para vivir en la casa, en las escuelas, en el azul marcada. Tienes con vivir en las fortalezas. And
the color, well, Todd and Andrew actually both have mentioned the color, and I just want to like talk about that again, because before they got to Vista Del Mar, the colors were all like kind of muted and more earthy tones, and then we got to Florida, is like super saturated, like Andrew's shirt was on everyone, and like there was like just everything was so colorful, and it was really a great contrast between the two places. And the characters as well, like the talking club, everyone was kind of like quiet and like grumpy and rule followers, and then the one lady who went to Vista Del Mar, was like all happy and almost more colorful, and I just think they also did that well. So
what a great bit that was. You've highlighted it, but that was one of the funniest sequences.
The talking club.
Talking club.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a simple concept, but it was so funny, so well executed.
And just another like great bit part for Vanessa Bayer.
Oh yeah,
just crushed it. Crushed it. So good. I think this movie did what we kind of get on movies about pretty consistently is all elements of it were like concise. Like clearly the director was obviously talking to Kristen Wiig and Annie Mumolo, but it just seemed like everybody knew what was going on from top to bottom, every aspect. Like Alex, you mentioned the colors when they were back home versus when they shifted, like, and then the music, the costumes, everything. Like, we haven't watched a movie on here in a while where I've been like, oh yeah, everything, like all the elements of it actually lined up. Like they all probably sat down and discussed them.
You guys ever agree on anything?
We're basing this mostly on DT&E reporting, and I spent a bunch of time in those rooms. I'd say it's a soft 60, sir.
I think, what we always say, it's like this movie knew what it was, like the entire time, and ran with it. I was going to say it reminded me of Zoolander in a lot of ways, because it kind of was like this alternate universe. Mugatu is totally absurd, as is Kristen Wiig as the villain in this one. The drug trip sequence really reminded me of the gasoline fight sequence.
Yeah.
Just kind of in terms of just like all of a sudden it's crazy for a moment and then it goes back to normal. And just the really over the top characters and just it's like, nope, this is normal in this universe. This is where we live.
And actually, there was one shot that I actually noticed as just like, oh, that's a cool shot. Right after they kind of found out that they had been drugged, and they were still sitting at the bar, but it just kind of pushed away, and like they were moving.
Oh yeah,
like, that's a super cool shot that they didn't really have to do. They could have just been like, oh, camera, they're on drugs. But I was like,
yeah,
that's innovative right there. So.
Very impressive. All right, I think it is about time that we have to wrap this up. So, final thoughts. Let's start with Alex. What do you think about this movie?
I liked it from start to finish, with Trish saving the day. I am giving it 8 out of 10 thumbs.
All right. Top thumbs from Alex. Todd, what are your final thoughts? How many thumbs out of 10 are you giving this movie?
The more I talk about it, I'm like, I just keep bringing up bits that I liked in this thing. When I started this, I was like, but I'm like, dude, I just keep thinking of things that made me laugh. So I'm going 7.
7 thumbs out of 10. That's pretty solid. All right, Andrew. You got the shirt. You got the moment. What are your thoughts? How many thumbs out of 10?
Man, I had fun watching it, and I feel like I really haven't had fun watching a movie in a long time, so I recommend it, and I'll go 8 out of 10.
All right. I will say that honestly, this was a movie that tried to achieve a style of comedy that may not be in vogue like it used to be, but still went so hard for it and executed so well. I will definitely give it a solid 8 thumbs out of 10. You gotta just appreciate what it did. It was so good in executing every aspect of tone, visual, writing, performances, everything was so well matched. It's a solid 8 out of 10, thumbs up. It's not perfect. It's not the funniest thing you're going to see, but it is pretty dang good. All right. Next week, we got something completely different for you. It is. I put a note in and I forgot.
Ice Road.
I closed out of the file. Ice Road.
What the hell was that?
You heard about the cave-in?
Yeah.
I'm putting together a rescue mission.
We have 26 trapped miners who are running out of air.
I need 300 feet of pipe delivered up there in under 30 hours. Can you make it happen?
Says you had experience on the ice road.
Yep.
He's a mechanic?
One of the best.
Sweet Jesus. Give me $50. One of my drivers just became available.
What's it for?
Bail.
Yeah, what?
Told you this wasn't gonna be easy.
I'm in.
Mount up!
The only way up there is crossing the ice roads. But that leak has been thawing for 5 weeks now.
If they are able to accomplish this, we will be exposed.
So the question's time. We've been sabotaged.
My brother is in that mine.
This is personal. Now I'm angry. What the hell was that?
Sweet Jesus, that ain't good.
Spreading out. It's going to keep cracking for 2, maybe 3,000 meters. We're going to have to run tight together. Go!
Cut me loose or you're all going in!
There's no time.
Is anybody out there?
We're coming. Just hang on.
All right, thanks everybody for joining us for another week of film buffering. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Let your friends know. We're here to give you a good time, not a long time. Come back next week. Love you. Have a good week. Film buffering.
Not a long time.
So how was that for you?
When the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will see the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius.
Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abounding. No more falsehoods or derisions, golden living dreams of visions, mystic crystal revelations, and the mind's true liberation. Aquarius. Aquarius.
When the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. Aquarius.
Film Buff.